So you want to do 150s, huh? That's cute. Me too. I'm just kidding. It's real easy. We'll take about, I don't know, about 10 minutes or so and just tell you some basics about what you need to expect as a 150, going into a 150 as a new player, or if you're coming back to the game after a while, or hell, if you've never done 150s before. There's a couple things you need to know, a couple things you got to get over, and sometimes you got to leave your pride at the door. So before we get into it, hit like, hit subscribe. Appreciate y'all. No,
That's your theme song.
no, it ain't. I ain't from goddamn the mountains. All right, so here's the deal. If you want to do 150s, we're going to do what's called the META, most efficient tactic available. And the reason for that is you want to do it fast. You want to get the XP from it. And you don't want to Mickey Mouse clown around, okay? So the best way to do it, in my opinion, is in a 4-man team. So the way that the 4-man team consists, you have a Trash Killer, a Rift Guardian Killer, a ZDH, 0 damage Demon Hunter, and a Z-Barb, 0 damage Barbarian. Now, those are your meta roles, okay? Try not to deviate from the meta roles if you want to be successful. Now, disclaimer, right now. Every time I do one of these videos, there's always somebody that says, you don't have to do it like that, Hag, or you don't have to do that. Right, y'all, look, I get it. There's 8,000 ways to skin a cat, okay? What we're talking about right now is Diablo 3, Season 27, Greater Rift 150, metas. That's what we're talking about. If you have never done 150s and you want to start doing 150s, this is how you do it. This is how you understand how everything works. So let's just leave that at the door right there. All right, moving on. Doing the metas, you need a ZDH, a Z-Barb, and a Trash Killer, and a Rift Guardian Killer. Now, let's start with ZDH. Let me try to dispel this right now. ZDH is very important. A Z-Barb is very important. They're not easy. I mean, a ZDH is kind of easy to just kind of, if you're 800 Paragon, to gear up and get into the game. But if you want to be a pro ZDH, there is a lot that goes into this. And a good ZDH is a wizard's best friend, okay? So I need to dispel this right now. All supports are valuable. You have to have them. So just because you're playing ZDH doesn't mean you're a useless pile of dog shit and you're just forced to play ZDH. There's so many people that play ZDH and all they do is just spin around and they don't put sentries down. They're not keeping their wolf companion up. And the attitude around it is, you don't need that crap. That's fine. You don't need that. That's fine. It's not a big deal as long as you're spinning around. That, damn it, no. Okay? ZDH is very important for damage boosting and damage reduction. So those are the two things that she's very valuable for. She also kind of slows enemies with Ice Blink. For a detailed playthrough video of this, okay, I'm going to pin it right here. I'm not going to go into grave detail. I'm just going to tell you about the role. Take this role seriously. I cannot stress it enough. Please take this role seriously. Please make sure, if you're not sweating playing this, step it up. I like to play little mini games inside the game, like, you're going to come in, put your Valley of Death down, and then you got your sentries, your turrets. So I like to try to keep up with the Trash Killers and keep a sentry over. I mean, that's like a little mini game I play. Let me find the wizard and put a sentry on it, or turret, whatever you want to call them. That's just something I do, and the wizard will appreciate it because guess what? They're gaining the reduction in damage because of that sentry. So, okay, on to the Z-Barb. Your Z-Barb, he's goofy looking, ain't he? Yeah, that's intentional. He's supposed to look that way, and he's supposed to have that little boy. By the way, is that little boy not the creepiest pet in the game? Like, I don't know what dev thought it was a good idea or who signed off on that, but yeah, let's put this little boy in the game. That's just not creepy at all. But it's 2022, and this guy's a member of NAMBLA. If you're a South Park fan, you know what NAMBLA is, so don't judge me, Judge. All right, so Z-Barb. A lot of common misconceptions about the Z-Barb also. This is the hardest support to play. Everybody thinks that you gear him up and you just spin around and whirlwind into the sunset and all the damage is done. Everything's cool. Negative, Ghost Rider. This guy's job is to basically lead the whole rift. He's to pull the packs. He's to keep the packs maintained. He's to keep an eye on your trash killers. In this situation, we're going to say wizard. Okay, Necro's a little different. But he's to keep his eyes on the trash killer. Make sure no little stragglers are getting out of the pack. He needs to pixel pull. The point of the barb is to get all of those monsters' hitboxes just to where they're just as tight as possible, to where they're on the collision box doing a pixel pull. That's some really in-depth nerdy stuff right there, but it is what it is. It's a lot. There's a lot of guys that want to jump in and play Z-Barb because they don't like playing Demon Hunter. I don't blame you. I don't like playing Demon Hunter either. But you got to have your role. So I highly recommend against playing Z-Barb unless you are 100% confident in your knowledge of the game and you've done 150s before. It is best to start off as a ZDH and work your way up. Understand how the 150s are run, understand the maps, understand the pylons, understand the time, understand all of that. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes. The Z-Barb also is responsible for keeping everybody alive. So you don't want to stray too far away from everybody, and you want to make sure you got ignore pain on. So very important to have good gear here, very important to have proper cooldown so you can keep IP up at all times. If you got a trash killer or you got two wizards you're running that's not getting IP, the wizard will go into what's called the death cycle. It's where it dies over and over and over again, because the second it gets up, it dies again because it can't get ignore pain, because the barb's constantly on cooldown from ignore pain. So you get what I'm saying. It has to be very well built, and it really helps to have immense knowledge of trash killer. So what I've seen so far is the best Z-Barbs are wizard players or trash killer players. They understand how many mobs you're going to need in a pack, how many or I guess what type mob types are the best, give you the most progression, all of that stuff. They understand keeping the pool tight. They understand not letting stragglers get out, because the reason I say don't let stragglers get out, a wizard has to be mobile, and he has to keep up squirts. And squirts is the hardest thing to keep up in a 150, unless the Z-Barb is doing his job, and then you can keep it up the whole time. But nothing sucks more for a wizard when you're standing there and you're building up your stacks of dynamo and you're fixing to drop a meteor on the pack and you got stragglers coming out. Okay? So you take a little bit of damage from that, your shields go down, there goes your squirts, you start cussing, then you die, the barbarians whirlwinding off into the sunset, and it falls apart. A bad Z-Barb can destroy your rift. Z-Barbs can make or break a 150. So I cannot stress it enough. Understand the role, understand the game, understand everything you can about a 150 run before you play a Z-Barb. You're going to have to develop tactics on how to pull, how to manage the pack. What I like to do is gather a big 25 monster pull, stomp them, go grab some more, pull them in, and then I constantly just rotate around and stomp and pull and stomp. It's like doing a little jig, like, what? Yeah. Ooh, yeah. What? Yeah. That's what I'm doing in the pack. I'm just dancing around, stomp, dance around, stomp, keep them together, and that way you don't have stragglers, you don't have a bunch of garbage trying to go get trash killers, la. It's different if you're playing Necros. Necros are a lot harder. They need minimum 25 trash pulls. Depending on the mob types, they almost insta-wipe them. You got to keep moving. It's very map dependent. It's very Z-Barb dependent. It's just a lot of variables. They're a lot of fun to play, but a lot of times you don't get through the 150 because it's you don't have the right mob types or whatever. Also, it's important that you're crowd controlling with stomp. So when you're Z-barbing for wizards, you're going to stomp on their cycle. Usually the wizard will tell you, hey, 3, 2, 1, here comes my cycle. And I know I'm fixing to get comments, Hog, they don't have to stomp during your cycle. Guys, when you like to have new 150 players that understand. So if you have a big pool, you don't want them to move. Stomp before the cycle. That way, there's no chance of anything moving. Another big mistake that Z-barbs make is when the wizard goes to throw his bombs, the pack gets moved. So that's another cycle that's missed. The more cycles, convention element cycles is what I'm referring to, the more cycles that you miss, the longer the rift takes. Plain and simple. So, trying to think what else about, there's so much about this Z-barb. So on a necromancer, okay, you're going to stomp on their physical cycle. And especially a trash killer, well, both of them actually, not just especially the trash killer. Traggles and the Rathmas, they require you to stomp on their cycle. So, again, this is where your knowledge of the game comes back in. You could be Z-barbing for wizards and then go to Necros and then be lost as last year's Easter egg trying to figure out why you're not doing any damage. It's because you're not stomping on their cycle. List goes on and on and on, guys. It's trying to give you the basic crash course. I do have a video on Z-bar. But these are the two that don't do any damage. So don't worry about, I'm not killing anything, I'm not doing anything. It's just, I swear it's an ego thing. There's a lot of players in the game that they have to do damage. And I got news for you. In a 150, it is very reliant on your gear, your Paragon, your experience with that particular tune, how much playing time you have. There's a lot of variables. If you're too stubborn or too prideful to assume the role of a support character, you're never going to do 150s. So there's games that I don't get chosen to be a damage dealer, and I don't bitch. I don't whine or moan. I'll ZDH, I'll Z-barb, I'll do whatever I have to do, because guess what? I want the experience from the 150. That's why you do it. It's massive amounts of experience, and it's fun. So that's why, who cares what role you play? I'm just trying to do the best I can to squash that about the supports. If you want to get in 150s, you got to play a support. If your trash killer or your Rift Guardian killer is not kick ass, and I'm not talking about 1200 Paragon and it'll do a 90, I'm talking about kick frickin' ass, you're not going to do 150s. Alright, so we'll move on to your trash killer, okay? You got two this season that are the best. Taurasha Wizard and Traggles. Okay. The most efficient is Wizard. 2 wizards. Reason for that is they're not very map dependent. You can get through just about any map. It might be a pain in the ass if you get like the Keeps or Crypt or something god awful like that. But you can get through it with Wizard. Whereas with the Necro, very map dependent, very frustrating, requires immense knowledge, really got to have good gear. A lot of stuff goes into this. However, it can be the fastest clear in the game. So if you look at the leaderboards for 4-man 150s, you'll see Necros are at the top. But it requires a lot of fishing and a lot of other stuff. So the Wizard, I recommend, if you're done Zeeing, if you got to about 2500 Paragon, you can start moving up, okay? Go with a Wizard Taurasha. Okay, let me go ahead and tell you, put aside these LOD bazookas and all these, put them away. We played with LOD bazooka on a Phenom player that's almost 5,000 Paragon, and it's fun. It blows them up, but it doesn't beat the Taus. And obviously it does in theory, and there's some people that have done it, okay? But listen to what I'm saying. The gear is so crazy to try to find for it that to get it to where you can be like Woody or somebody, you know, Rax or whatever, and do it in 150 and do it in like 10 minutes, or 2 minutes and 20 seconds, or however the hell fast they did it, your gear's got to be insane. So yeah, it's a cool build, but I met a few people that try to do, LED bazooka at 1200 Paragon. No, you need at least 5,000 or 4,000, and you need the most godly gear you've ever seen. So stick with Taurasha, okay? But your job is to kill the pack, right? Let the Z-Barb do the pull, and you focus on dealing damage. Don't worry about picking up pools. Don't worry about picking up pylons. Don't worry about doing any of that. I forgot to mention that. That is all ZDH's job. So ZDH, you pick up pylons when you're told. Communication is key here, guys. Communicate, communicate, communicate. When you're doing 150s in Diablo 3, you have to communicate. So that's why it's great to go ahead and get in a Discord. It's even better to do it with a clan, with guys that you know. So if you need a clan, if you're tired of rolling solo, join our Plebs for Life clan on Diablo 3 and join our Discord. Links in the description. But you got to be a subscriber, so go ahead and subscribe. That'll be fine. So anyway, Wizard, kill trash. Kill trash. If you're an experienced player and you have an inexperienced Z-Barb, then you call the shots. Okay? That's about it for the trash killers. I mean, your job is solely to kill the trash. Now, when you're the RGK, okay, Rift Guardian killer, let's go up here to Necro. Let's just say this is a Rathma, okay, Army of the Dead. RGK, a couple things are going to happen in RGK. You're probably going to be bored during the run because you're not killing anything. Usually an RGK only does single target damage. So you can help kill blues and stuff like that, yellows, but you're really there just to kill the Rift Guardian. A lot of guys get frustrated because they die a lot, Look, as long as you're not dying during the Rift Guardian, doesn't matter. You can die 8 zillion trillion times during the Rift, or just back off. You know, you don't have to hang out with everybody. Don't alter your gear. It's just part of being a Rift Guardian killer. Now, once you hit 100%, you pop that fat slob that's coming out of there, whether it's, I don't know, what's that nasty pestilence, that nasty piece of shit that likes to fart everywhere, them nasty clouds. It's you and him. So, whether you're Impale, Army of the Dead, whatever, now's your time to shine. So, I don't know. Make it right, make it good. That's why the best RGKs can kill in 1 or 2 hits. And that's why a lot of guys are going Rathma Army of the Dead, because as long as that boss does not spawn ads, meaning little minions, you'll decimate him. So, it's pretty simple for the other two, for the damage dealers. That's why everybody wants to play them. And they want to be the guy to impress everybody, I guess. I don't know. It's a big ego thing. You're not going to impress anybody, guys. Have you seen the leaderboards? There's guys with 6, 7, 8,000 Paragon, 5,000 Paragon. Check your ego at the door and let's play the game. So the way I look at it, you could really devote a lot of time to being a Z-Barb. You could get in everybody's game because everybody needs a good Z-Barb, and you could just 150 yourself to death. Whereas if you're a mediocre wizard like myself, you're not always going to get to play 150s, or you're not going to get invited as a wizard to play 150s or whatever your trash killer choice is. Okay? So I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out about this. But as far as the roles go, those are your roles. You got to know them. You got to own them. You got to like them. All right. So, once you let's say you've assumed a ZDH role, you're getting in a 150 for your first time, you're excited, but you're also scared as hell because you've never done it, you don't know what to expect, and you think you're going to die pretty quick. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that's normal. Everybody feels like that. Everybody feels like, I'm not going to do anything. You're not aware of what you do. you bring a table full of buffs that everybody needs and will notice if you ain't there. So don't worry about dying. Don't worry about underperforming or anything like that. Jump in there and do it. Okay? Now, when you get an experienced group, a lot of times you're going to hear the term fishing. And it ain't the kind of fishing I like to do. Go set the hook on a big bucket mouth bass. Fishing keys. What that means is you're going to go over here. We're going to open a greater rift. We're going to open it. Let's just go ahead and do it. 150. Here we go. I got a special soundboard notification, but we're going to look. We're going to see. Nah, I don't want to do this. So you're going to, in our group, we call it rip it. Other groups may, let me know in the comments what your group or what you've heard it called besides rip it. But we're going to say rip it. And so there's one of two ways to rip it. Everybody can leave the game, or everybody except for the host can leave the game, and the host can come over here and close. Then everybody else can rejoin. Now, if you get fast with it, you can fish pretty quick. Okay? Now, some basic etiquette to know about doing Greater Rift 150s in Diablo 3, especially in Season 27, okay? Be efficient. So before you jump into a game with guys that are ready to go, have your inventory clear, have your repairs done, don't have a bunch of crap sitting around, don't have to take a dump, don't need water. Now, I know a lot of my people that play with me are like, Hog, oh my God, if that ain't the pot calling the kettle black. I'm not perfect, nobody is, but just as a general rule of thumb, try to have everything ready before you jump in. Now, when you start the cycle of doing 150s, the second you're done, the most important thing that I can stress to everybody, especially at this point in Season 27, do not close the rift. Okay? Especially if you're a ZDH, just hang back. Don't go clicking things. Don't go try to take control of the rift. Just hang out. Majority of the time, people are going to start looking for pools, experience pools, or they're going to open a cow level. I personally like the cow level. You can go on a Crusader and craft and upgrade, and you get a 1 in 3 chance to get a bovine barricade. Put it in the cube, transmit it just like you would a puzzle ring, bada bing, bada boom, there's the cow level. You get 2 pools every cow level. So that's the way that I run it. We get done. Make sure all your upgrades are done before you leave the rift. Okay? Immediately come in. So let's say we're in Act 1. We come out, we're done. Immediately come and identify anything you have to identify. Okay? Now, don't spend 10 minutes looking at your new stuff. Ooh, look at this witching hour I just got. Don't do that. Don't even look at it. Just have you a tab ready and just throw whatever you need to throw in here. If it's good. If it's junk, come over here real quick, repair, salvage, and then by the time you're done, the person that's in charge of the runs is going to have a cow stick open or going to say pool. A lot of times you'll see it in the chat as a double plus. And that's when you just click on one of these banners, teleport to who's ever telling you got a pool, or jump into cow level. Be advised, a lot of these guys are efficient. If you take 5 minutes in town, you will get kicked. If you take longer than about 2 minutes, 60 seconds maybe, to get in and get pools, they'll take them without you. That's just how it is. You might not necessarily get kicked all the time, but you're going to miss out on pools. Now, a lot of y'all are going to say pools ain't necessary, la la la. Well, my Paragon, they are. If you're chasing Paragon, they absolutely are. Not at under 2,000, not at under 2,500, whatever, okay? Once you have all of your pools, at least 2, still don't close. Let the Rift leader close. Let him come out, close, leave the game. Because you're going to need to reset the cow level. You can only open 1. So, exit the game. Everybody else will. Jump back in. Rinse, repeat. It's not that hard. Not really going to go into too much about what maps to look for. Okay, I guess I will real quick. Festering Woods, Battlefields, um, Desert, Shrouded, and what's the last one I'm thinking about? Hell Rifts are okay. Let me know in the comments what I'm not thinking about. Those are good maps to have. Plague Tunnel's okay. I personally don't like Plague Tunnels, but it's okay. The rest of them are garbage. And so you will save a lot of time by fishing. I think of something else I can tell you about 150s. Y'all just have fun. That's the big thing. And leave your pride at the door. I'm going to say it one more time. Don't be ashamed to play a damn support. They are absolutely necessary. And don't be scared to learn Z-Barb. So here's the other thing. I need a Z-Barb. Okay? I had a... Mortal. I lost my Z-Barb to WoW. Wow. That's what I say. WoW to WoW. And so now I need another one. So if you want practice on Z-Barb, I need some. In our clan, in our Discord, whatever. If you need a home, come on. Anyway, I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out, like always. Let me know in the comments what I left out. But as far as just a basic crash course on the metas, basic crash course on getting your Paragon up, I don't think there's anything left to be desired after this. So you get the picture. Please play a support. There are plenty of damage dealers. Play a support. Oh, and speaking of support, thank y'all. This growth is unreal. Let's keep it going. So if you watch my channel and you don't subscribe, there's a lot of y'all. Just hook me up. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It takes like 2 milliseconds out of your time. By the time that I'm done rambling about you hitting subscribe, you could have hit subscribe to help my subscriber base grow even more and subscribe. Okay. So now that's out of the way and you've hit subscribe because you're awesome. We'll see you next time. Appreciate y'all.